Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's card I'm going to use a variety of dies. So the stitched rectangle, the largest of the large from Fawn. I've then got a border die, I cannot remember what it's called, but it's like a tree border from Fawn as well. I then have as well as the treetops. I then have the spring add-on for the scalloped treat box. And I'm going to use it on a card rather than a treat box for today's card. So I also have some Fawn inks. I thought I'd try some blending with these inks in a variety of colours. And I also have a Tim Holtz, like a bricked sort of stencil, that's the word. So I'm going to speed this up a bit more. And to start with, I'm going to use the narwhal ink on the edges of the trees, and I'm just using a very small sort of makeup blender brush type thing. There's lots of them in the craft industry, so you know they're out there, but this is actually a makeup brush and I think I paid £1 for it. It's only from Poundland, so it's not anything expensive when we could go there, you know. I tend to not go out because of the pandemic, but if I don't have to. So yeah, so I'm just going around the edges. In hindsight, it probably would have been better with a slightly bigger brush. And actually, although this turns out okay, I don't actually like the way these inks blend. I think I needed probably a blending foam, might have worked a bit better, or like I say, a bigger blending brush. So yeah, note to self and all that. So just a bit of cleanup. So that's that one done. And then I'm going to take the soot, I think it's called. No, hippo, sorry, ink. And I've got this block that is about, I think it's about 2 3/4 by 3 or thereabout. I just did some measuring and then cut it down a bit and measured and cut as I went, just to get enough of a size that would work with my house roof. Because when you use the scallop treat box, the box itself becomes the house. So obviously in this instance I don't want that, because I am doing it on a card. So I needed a flat piece that was going to be like the wall of my house, or the base of my house. So I just kind of measured and cut according to the roof itself. So I think I started with a 3 by 3 or thereabout and just kept cutting it down until it was the right size, and also the size that was going to work with the card itself. Because if it was too big, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to look right. So I sort of worked with that as well. And look, nice bricks. I love that stencil. So to give the illusion that there's a layer on this card, and you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to have stitching around the edges. You can just measure. You can eyeball it and put some tape around the edge of your card and then blend onto that. And when you take it off, you'll see this nice white edge, which will give that illusion that there's another layer of cardstock when there isn't. So if you want to keep things a bit flatter, this is a nice way to do that. So I'm going to start with the guava ink, and I'm just going to work and work until this sort of blends as well as I can get it to blend. And again, I've just got makeup brushes. And I'm not worried about those really dark splotchy areas, because I'm coming from the cardstock up. So I'm using the hillside and the trees as a bit of a guide as to where to actually start doing that. So I didn't worry too much about those big splotchy areas. But yeah. And also this cardstock is it's just the normal cardstock. It's not a, like if it was a Bristol Smooth, it might have worked a bit better as well. So cardstock plays a key role. I got to say, distressings are by far my favorite, and I think they are for most people, but I thought I'd give this a go, because sometimes you've got other inks that you want to use to blend and create backgrounds and all that sort of thing. So although distressings are they are very unique in their own way, and they're awesome. There's a lot of other dye inks out there that are still very cool, and you can get some very nice effects by using them as blending and then splattering on and all that sort of stuff. So I just wanted to try it out. but cardstock is key as well. So the only way to really know that is either to just buy cardstock that's recommended by all those crafty crafters out there. You know, like Tim Holtz or Jennifer Maguire or Christina Warner, who else? Nicole Spore. They're all fantastic crafters, and they do all the trial and error so that you don't have to. So you can by all means do that, but sometimes I like to experiment with what I've got, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it will work really well and sometimes not so much. So I decided to splatter with some water, as always. And again, this isn't a watercolor cardstock, this is just box standard cardstock, so it reacted, but it sort of worked, but not really. But it was enough reaction that I could see that there was some extra detail in the background. And then I used a Nouveau shimmer pen to flick on some extra shimmer, some shimmer onto the card so that I could, you know, just for extra effect. And now comes the task of putting all these little pieces together. And yes, there's a lot of little pieces, but they're very cool and it works out so nicely. So nicely, guys. There's all these extra little, like all these pieces are in the die set, so you don't even have to think about, you know, trying to cut a piece of cardstock for behind, like for the door. That piece is there for you. So and I love that. I think that's such a cool thing. So just getting these pieces stuck together. I've got some white cardstock for a lot of these pieces, like the fences, the windows, the door, and also the yellow pieces for like that sort of glow that you might have in a window, although this is a daytime card, so I probably didn't need the yellow in the window. I could have just used white with a bit of maybe a pale blue ink, just so it's got that glass effect. And then the little flowers, there were the sort of the yellow, or the inner part of the flower, that die cuts in a little strip as well, so so cool. Now these trees I cut in 2 different greens, and then I'm just trying to work out where I want to put them. So I'm just putting a bit of glue on the back of the branchy bit, and then there's 2 dies, and they are different, slightly different wonky trees, if you like, or treetops. So I could turn them different ways depending on which bit. So they all kind of look different, even though they're sort of the same, but they sort of still look, they have that sort of different kind of look to each other. And then deciding just, you know, like the 2 that overlap, just deciding which one I want in the front and the back, that sort of thing. I'm not going to worry about the overhang, I'll just trim that off later. It just gives it another, like, you know, another effect sort of thing. And here comes the roof. And all these cardstocks, they're a mixture. I think some of them are, well, like this is Calypso Coral, so this is Stampin' Up. The white is the same white box standard cardstock that I used for the house base. I think a lot of them are Stampin' Up cardstocks in different colours. There might be some Gina K and some Lawn Fawn in there as well, because I basically use a if you guys remember the old school, I don't know if they still sell them actually. They're like the chunky like clear cases that Stampin' Up have for the, or used to have, I don't know if they still do, for the wood mounted stamps. And they're like a thicker block, a thicker case, as opposed to like the normal size DVD case type thing. They're about an inch-ish in depth, and so I use a few of those for different color scraps. So I have, you know, whatever will fit in there. If it's bigger than that, then it goes in a sleeve next to the main sheets of cardstock, but the little ones go in there, and it works really well because I actually go to that first before I then, especially for die cuts and things, before I then grab a bigger sheet of cardstock again. So I was just showing there, I forgot to put that little piece of grass, the grassy piece. I was going to put that behind for some greenery in the flowers, and I totally forgot. So yeah, so the flowers have no greenery today, but it's fine. And so I'm going to start to put this together on the card itself. So just getting some tape. I do love this tape. I think I've said it before. It was just cheap stuff from Amazon, but it's acid free, which is a key thing, I think, for a lot of things. And it's really sticky, so it's really nice that it came in all these different thicknesses. So that works when you want, like, you don't want to spend 3 hours putting lots of little pieces of tape on. You know, you just want to get stuff done. But I'm going to keep this all flat on this first layer, and I'm lining up that piece within the stitched line of the card. And then I'm starting to put like the picket fence, and I haven't put my house down yet because I just want to line up where my picket fence is going to go first. And for some reason that one didn't want to stick. So but also keeping it within the stitched lines so that it's nice and sort of within that frame. I know the trees aren't, but I thought that gave just a bit of funkiness to the top. And then my house is going to stick just there, and it will actually fit quite nicely. I didn't measure that beforehand, so I was lucky that that actually fit really, really well. And this is the only bit I believe that's going to get popped up, is the main house. So I'm just getting some foam onto that so that I can pop it up. And then again, I'm starting to put where my little bunny is. Now my bunny was too white. I know that sounds weird, but and so I decided to actually make him a bit of a grey bunny. I just wanted him to stand out a little bit more from the picket fence. So he turned out to be a grey bunny, which is fine with me, but it wasn't quite what I had in mind. I had this vision of this little white bunny, but you know, these things happen. But it's fine. And then that piece of grass, I decided to stick the grass to the bunny, so it's almost like he's in the grass or amongst the grass. And then I have these little eggs that I will put in there as well. And to start with, I was going to pop him up as well as the house, but I didn't like how it turned out, so I actually take him off in a minute and rearrange. So I've rearranged that. My camera died. Rearranged that and got the eggs on there as well. There's a couple on the right hand side of the house, and then there's one stuck behind the bunny in the grass. And then I had these little butterflies, and they come from the same die set, and I cut the big ones and the little ones, but the big ones were too big for this particular scene, so I just used the little ones and it worked out fine. So the bigger ones I decided to pop in the inside of the card. Didn't want to waste them, and I had them there and I was on a roll, so I just did that. I'm also going to use some white gel pen around the edges of everything. Just random places. I'm not being specific about where I'm putting this. You know, I mean, I am, because I'm putting it where I'm putting it, but I'm not being like specific in terms of like where the light source is or any of that kind of stuff. So I just get some detail on, and it makes a big difference. I try not to overthink it, because otherwise it becomes too much of a mission. So this worked out really well, and it just gives enough definition to that roof and adds a bit more, you know, just stands out a little bit more. And the other place is just randomly on like the bunny and the grass and other little bits. And then also in the eggs I decided to decorate them, so you'll see that in a second, where I just add some dots or stripes and that sort of thing. And that's the white detail anyway. I was gonna, oh, I did add some to the, I couldn't remember if I added to the tree as well. Or the trees, I should say. So it's just wherever you feel you want to put some lines and dots and things like that. It's just extra detail, just makes for a nice little thing. Then for one of the finishing touches as well, I'm going to use the Aqua Shimmer pen. Same as what I did for the to flick on the background. I've just put this in various places, and then I'm going to take some glossy accents. I did think about putting a googly eye on the bunny, but I like the softness of this card, and I just thought the googly eye just didn't work right. So to make his eye stand out, because obviously there's nothing behind there, it's just basically where the die cut out, I'm using a black gel pen now to I just carefully go inside there, and basically as I press the pen down, it's a glaze pen, sorry, where I press it down, it basically fills that little void where the eye is, so it actually works out really well. So that was just a trial and error. I was hoping I wasn't going to mess it up, which I didn't. So the last thing is to put some glossy accents on a few things, like the butterflies, the doorknob. I think that might have been all of it actually, but just again, it just adds some shine. And the flowers, I think I tried to get just the centers of the flowers, because you know, then you've got shiny and sparkly stuff. So, and that's it, guys. It, yes, was a bit more long-winded, shall we say, but it's it turned out much better than I thought. I really wasn't sure where the ink blending was going to go, but that actually worked really well. So I will try it on different cardstock and let you know how that goes, because I have so many other dye inks that I want to try and use and utilize, because we buy these things and then we don't use them, which isn't right. And I also didn't put a sentiment on this, shocking, but I thought this could be a new home card, it could be a spring hello card, it could be a number of things, and I think it is more Easter themed because of the eggs, but I still think it could be a nice little, you know, happy home card if you wanted it to be. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye!